On today's episode of Pathmonk Presents, I've got a very special guest with me joining today. Please welcome Rolf. He is the head of marketing and communications at Shoreline Wind. So, for all of you who don't know, Shoreline is an enterprise SaaS provider of intelligent simulation optimization solutions for project development and field operations management for wind energy assets. Rolf, thank you so much for joining us today. It's an honor to have you on our show.
Thank you for welcoming me, Mara. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. We're honored to have you here. So, Rolf, tell us about the Shoreline Wind solution that you guys have provided for the public, especially with, within the trends of, going green and all these emissions and with the direction of where the world is heading. What is the solution that you guys solve for your clients? And how did you guys come up with this product overall? Because it's really interesting.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, Shoreline is a software as a service company. So we deliver software for the offshore wind industry, where you can manage the entire life cycle of a wind farm. So what you're going to do now is that you can build a virtual copy, a so-called digital twin of your wind farm, and you can simulate the behaviors during construction and O&M scenarios anywhere in the world in a short amount of time. So what we actually look to do is to make it easier for offshore wind stakeholders to deploy projects much faster and much more efficient. And once they gone past the kind of their concept development and start, to build the actual wind farm, then we also have a selection of solutions they can pick from. You can go with marine coordination, you can go with asset management. So there's tons of kind of within the field service asset management area where you can go and you can start working with your project within the same software. So you don't have this, fragmented landscape for your wind farm and for your digital data that's going to be in there. You can collect everything into one subscription-based, cloud-based platform. And the strength around it is that we have a customer base of industry-leading companies within all the wind segments. So we have for instance, the OEMs who manufacture the turbines, and we have the developers, and we have the service providers and consultants. So we have all the different phases and stakeholders around a wind farm. And all these stakeholders deliver the input to those are the users that deliver the input that we release ongoing to our platform. That way, it will always stay future-proof because we get the input from the ones leading all the projects. So they can always stay on top on, which scenario should I go with in terms of O&M, which capabilities needed, which is floating wind where we need to put in all our efforts right now. Then we can also simulate that. So there's many ways to go within the same software. And that's what we're trying to do, is to create this technology that's going to make it much more enjoyable and much faster for analysts and for specialists out there to work on their wind farms.
Yeah, exactly. And I love to, even from looking at the website with the screenshots that you guys provide, to be able to see how the software looks when you are using it. It's so streamlined and very simple to where I'm able to see the data and be able to get the numbers that I need to be able to bring back to my team. And especially with how easy it is to navigate as well. Like, it sounds very complex when you explain it, but when you actually are in the platform, it's really easy to navigate and to understand. And I think that's great overall.
Yeah, and that's also the main purpose is, to make something highly complex, very, very simple within the software. And that's also why we give the insights, is that we also think that the software kind of sells itself when you give the visuals and you give the outputs that it's going to provide, because that's basically what they need. They need some easier way to navigate. And that's what the software does. It does make it a lot easier to find the outputs that you're looking for to the projects that you're working on.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a huge game changer, especially too with as you were elaborating, where the whole industry in the world just changing from going more green emissions and trying to reduce their carbon footprint. It's quite difficult to be able to understand these analytics and how to interpret the data, but your platform makes it so easy and simple, honestly. So it's great overall.
Yeah, and it's digitalization is a part of the green transitioning that we're not always discussing. But for us, it's of course massively important, and we think it has a huge role to play in this, because all the green transitioning we're talking about won't happen unless we also become much more efficient in how we work with the digital tools that we have around the wind farm. And that's why we try to deliver this as a kind of a one-stop shop for all the different solutions.
With your clients in particular, because I know this is a very niche market, how do your clients typically find you then? Is a lot of this relationship building? Is it referrals? Is it word of mouth? Or is it a mix of a lot of things currently?
It's currently probably a mix of a lot of things. There goes a lot of word of mouth in the industry, users having experience with the tool, also collaborating on it. Then the recommendation goes on from there. Then you have a bunch of traditional networking and events happening as well, where you have a lot of presence to be there. But also the digital thing is coming more into play. And that's also what we're starting to focus more on, utilizing LinkedIn a lot, utilizing our website, utilizing our newsletter to really stay close to both, potential customers, but also our current users. So we have a lot of mixed platforms to try and get out the message around what we can do and what our features include.
Sweet, that's awesome. So for our audience then, do you guys have any webinars or resources that they can subscribe to on your website where they can be able to keep up within the industry as well, since you guys are, key players and especially with what you guys do overall, it's really interesting.
Yeah, sure. I mean, one of the thing we developed recently is a resource page where people can go in and download basically kind of content on everything that we do. And we have a webinar series where people can go and, they can check out certain scenarios where we try to build a floating wind farm on the coast of Japan or in the US, or we try to do certain installation methods to a wind farm. So they can get a sense and get a feeling and also a visualization of how tool actually behaves and how it actually looks, and actually also get short insight into how quickly you can generate an unlimited number of scenarios for your wind farm campaign.
Oh, sweet. That's incredible. I like that solution it has where you can have a lot of different campaigns to see. That's really interesting. And it's very different too, as well. So I think that's a wonderful benefit overall. Yeah. So now we're going to switch gears here and we're going to talk about the website. So in your own words, I want to know, what would you say are the major strengths of the Shoreline Wind website? And then where are there opportunities for room for improvement as well?
I think right now what we have is we have a lot of good conversion points. We have many different types of ways that can come into kind of our inbound engine to get in contact with our marketing team. And we have a good mix of, both kind of harder conversion, but also looking at knowledge sharing or how we can potentially collaborate and get access to the software. So there's a good mix of conversion points. I think also that the visualization of how we present the product and the information is also gotten really good. And we're starting to have a really good feeling of how the product should sound and look to both potential users and current users. The improvement is, I think, it's probably a trap for many SaaS companies that you think you have the best technology out there, so you often tell too much about what you do. And I think we also sometimes fall into a trap where we want to tell everything that we do. We want to go into details, and sometimes you have to stay a bit, upper level, especially for earlier conversions. So I think it's the balance of when to tell what and how much to actually tell on the website. Sometimes we try to go a bit too much in depth, where we should probably just maybe stay a bit high level and try to provide what's actually the context they're looking for.
No, definitely. And I really like how you emphasized on finding that balance, because when you have that balance, it makes it easier for you to be even to convert prospects more, because once you have their attention, then it entices them. Okay, I know a little bit, but I want to know more. And then it makes them easier to book a call or reach out via email, as you were reading on. Yeah. Definitely. So now we're going to change gears here and we're going to talk about you as a leader. So with being the head of marketing and communication, what does an average day look like for you? Who is your team? Who do you report to? Give us an insight as to what a normal day looks like for you.
Well, things have gone quite fast. I mean, Shoreline is still a fairly young company, and the marketing department itself is very young. I mean, I've been here for 2.5 years, and before that, the Shoreline company didn't do a lot of marketing. So now where we are a team of 4 persons and soon to scaling to 6. We travel far away already. So what we have currently is we have an inbound coordinator, and we have a digital marketing coordinator, and we have a website developer, because those kind of the 3 pillars we're really trying to establish here from the start of our marketing department. And then what we're looking to build with is for someone to focus on our communication and our content, and kind of going out with telling the world about this amazing software, right? And then we're also looking for someone to organize in our events, as we have tons of wind industry events going on all over the world. So we need someone to stay in touch with those deadlines. So the team is scaling pretty fast. And for me personally, it's about, trying to get involved in each and every one of those areas, but not, also trusting the team, trusting that their capabilities and their responsibility, and also hold them accountable, obviously, but trusting what they can do, and then give my input, and then go in and help them as much as I can, and try to set that direction for each of these areas. And for me, of course, that implies that I have to be pretty adaptable, that you have to adjust to what they also want to get out of their area, what they have of expectation, along with what you have in your mind, and also what's the company goal and what you hear from senior management. Kind of taking all those into a mix, that's what you need to work towards.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's great too, where, you are recognizing, okay, like I'm here to help my team, but then also, capitalizing like, hey, like we're going to work through any roadblocks. How can I help them, but also allowing them the freedom to grow within their role and own it as well. So I think that's great.
Yeah, I mean, motivation is key, and I try to listen and understand the team as much as I can, because if they're not motivated about what they do, or they don't feel a part of either software or wind or anything like that, then we need to look at it, because that's what's going to drive the team going forward. So we really spend a lot of time, trying to help them set the direction for each of their own kind of marketing responsibilities. So for an inbound coordinator, there'll be, how do you visualize the inbound kind of engine running? What's the go-to that we need to target towards? And the same for a website developer. How should the website look from 5 years from now and 2 years from now? Or what's the steps that we need to take in order to get to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So now we're getting close to the end of our interview, and I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Awesome. So with all the overwhelming amount of content that there is out there nowadays, especially for marketers, where do you go to learn, grow, and keep up to date?
I primarily research my competitors, and also kind of industry leading companies, to see what they're doing, to see what works within the industry. And then when I kind of go outside of that, then obviously it's looking at kind of, marketing pioneers within SaaS. So it's like a HubSpot or Monday.com or something like that. We're looking to what they're doing, if there's anything we can maybe apply to a fairly young industry in regards to digital marketing. And then obviously it's also listening to podcasts and attending webinars and courses. But I think that's more the regular. I think staying in touch with your industry, see what the leadings are doing, and see what your competitors are doing is kind of the key for us to navigate in the landscape.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with, staying up to date and making sure that you're one step ahead of your competitors as well. So I agree with you.
Also because there's a lot of the same things that works that they're doing. So if, for instance, one of the leading companies within wind energy is focused on particular topic like floating wind or AI or something like that, or digitalization, then we can start ramping that up as well, and maybe increase some of our content or our software to do simulations around those topics, to kind of increase awareness around that, and also help kind of piggybacking on some of the buzzwords.
Yeah, exactly. So now my next question is, if there were no boundaries in technology, what would be the one thing that you would want to have fixed in your role today?
Except probably cloning myself a couple of times. Nice. But I mean, I mean, there's certain levels to what is already there. I think having something that once a lead comes in, just fairly new, where the website or whatever software you're using behind could completely understand, adjust, or know exactly what to do before more or less the lead has done anything, like just knew exactly how to convert the lead coming in. There are certain levels to it that already kind of exist, right? So you can be very dynamic in what your website should show and what you're telling the lead, and automate a lot of things. But that's also, one of the things I've learned so far is, the automation versus the personalization. So how do we balance that as well? Because we're trying to automate a lot of things to make it easier, but or is it always beneficial for us? Should we be more personal in some of the communication that we learn? And that's probably one of the most important steps I've learned. So a technology that completely understand leads coming in and can have a very personal sense of communication, where you can communicate, into what, for our sake, is like going into a lead's what is the projects they're working on, how far, and what is this task he's working on, like just including that right in the beginning. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, it would, honestly. I hope a tool exists. I hope there is a tool out there like that. That would make it a lot easier, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, there's tools to have elements of it, and we're also doing some of it, but to the extent that I'm thinking, I don't think there's anything out there yet.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. So now we're at the end of our interview, and I want to thank you so much for joining us on the podcast, but I also want to give you the last word. If anyone were to forget about everything we've talked about in your interview today, what is the one thing you want them to remember about Shoreline Wind overall?
I think they should remember Shoreline because it delivers a unique technology for a growing industry. I mean, wind industry is growing a lot. As we probably know, the green transition is becoming more and more important, and to deliver a SaaS technologies for that is kind of a unique thing to do. What I also want them to maybe go and research a bit is on the website, and try to get a sniff of our webinars, try to have a look and see if there's any of the things that might be interesting to them. Also, have a look at our career page, or at our kind of the about Shoreline, to learn a bit of our history, where we originated from a PhD back in the day to a commercial expert today. So the travel has been far for our company, but yeah, it's been exciting.
Yeah, definitely. No, it is really exciting, especially with what you guys are doing, and how elaborating on that your product is making a difference within the ecosystem and overall within the industry. So it's awesome. Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, thank you so much again. It was our pleasure.
Thank you for welcoming me again. I mean, it was a pleasure to be a part of it.
Yeah, likewise. It was an honor to have you. So for all of our listeners out there, check us out next week